Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier Injuries Daily Roundup. Now, we've had a few updates over the last 24 hours and thought it best to touch upon those and give you a little update to see where teams are in terms of some of those latest injuries. Now, Newcastle, they confirmed on Monday evening that John Joe Shelvey had surgery on his troublesome hamstring. Now, that's likely to keep him out for around about 3 months, which means we won't see him before that break, before the World Cup. We're probably targeting those fixtures around the festive period before he comes back into contention. In terms of where that leaves Newcastle, there shouldn't be a great deal of change within the squad, although there has been a little bit of chatter with regards to Newcastle making an inquiry about Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher potentially on loan. I really don't see that one going anywhere. We do have Sean Longstaff sitting in the wings, and also Elliot Anderson, who was linked with a potential loan move himself to the second tier, the Championship. But it looks as if he's going to remain on Tyneside. So for now, we'll be looking at probably Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Joe Willock in that Newcastle midfield. Elsewhere, Thiago, we've seen him limp off at Craven Cottage. That was a left hamstring problem. Now, the Athletic, James Pearce, has come out and he said that they expect that to be around about 6 weeks. BBC also followed that up and they said several weeks. But of course, Liverpool are becoming a little bit stretched in that area. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain out with a serious hamstring problem. We don't have any definitive timeline on that, but we know it's going to be long term. And as it currently stands, Curtis Jones, anywhere up to maybe another 2 to 3 weeks, potentially with that calf problem. But the good news is Naby Keita has recovered from illness, so he will be back in contention this weekend. At Everton Finch Farm, we've seen the arrival of Conor Cody from Wolves on a season-long loan with the option to buy. Now, that move was probably expedited by the news that, firstly, Ben Godfrey, who we've seen stretch it off during the opening stages of that Chelsea game, will be out again for around about 3 months. So we'll be lucky to see him this year. And that's a fractured fibula, but there must be associated damage in and around that as well, potentially ligament problems. So he's out for at least the next 3 weeks. And Yerry Mina looked a fairly innocuous one. Weren't really sure what was going on with that. Looked like a right ankle problem. That has since been confirmed. Ligament damage, and he will meet with a specialist this week. Looking over the last 4 seasons, his availability in the Premier League is around about 50%. So certainly, look, he brings a lot to that Toffee's defence, and that's plain to see when they're points per game with and without him. But the Colombian just cannot seem to keep fit, unfortunately. Everton have also dipped in the transfer market to bring in Abdou Onana. He's a Belgium midfielder, so Frank Lampard moving quickly after last weekend's disappointing result. For West Ham, David Moyes spoke about the central defence. Obviously, they lost Agüerd to an ankle ligament problem himself that had surgery, but also Issa Diop was missing from the matchday squad. Now, it was assumed that that was injury related. He last featured for West Ham against Rangers in pre-season. However, the manager allayed any of those concerns with regards to an injury. And he just said the player is available, he's not injured, but he hasn't made himself available to the squad. Now, that was probably a decision taken by the player with a view to moving on during this transfer window. And again, he's been heavily linked with a potential move around 15 million to Fulham, so that could happen soon. With regards to anybody else that's looking to return to that West Ham defence, we've seen Craig Dawson out of game week 1 with a thigh strain. That's been hampering throughout the pre-season programme. Now, we don't know if he's going to be ready for game week 2. He shouldn't be too far away. It's certainly, from what we understand, it isn't long term. So maybe, like I say, an outside chance for game week 2. If not, maybe it's more realistic, could be game week 3. Angelo Ogbonna, he's still working his way back to full fitness from that reconstructive anterior cruciate ligament injury he suffered last season. David Moyes initially said he would expect maybe 3 to 4 weeks before he's in first team contention. A couple of other sort of tidbits that we've picked up along the way post-match from Thomas Tuchel at Goodison Park following up. And he outlined the fact that ideally Ben Chilwell wouldn't have started at Goodison Park. That was because he doesn't believe he's in 100% fit, but because of Marcos Alonso, heavily linked with a move to Barcelona, and also the late signing of Marc Cucurella. He wasn't ready to start. That's why Ben Chilwell was in there. Now we see the arrival of Cucurella to try and help ease that burden on Chilwell. Again, he's coming back from that repaired ACL, and we know in terms of returning to pre-injury levels and performance, it's not necessarily this first season back. It could be, another 12 months before we're seeing Ben Chilwell back to those previous levels. But, in his own mind, he will be targeting a place in that England World Cup squad. Elsewhere, on the opposite flank, Reece James. Thomas Tuchel said he brought him off because he was not fully what he believed is fully match fit. And a couple of questions with regards to that from people on Twitter were saying, well, what does that mean? And, Thomas Tuchel talked about the fact that, they look at base levels, they look at tailoring the metrics, performance metrics around a player and, making assumptions around that and giving insights. So maybe, in the grand scheme of things, Reece James is nearly there. He's maybe just a little bit below what Thomas Tuchel wants to deliver that plan during games for him. Anthony Martial. Now, Ten Hag faced a lot of flack for starting Christian Eriksen as a number 9 on Sunday. We know that Anthony Martial was out after tweaking his hamstring against Atletico 7 days earlier. Now, we know it's not serious. Ten Hag wouldn't give any definitive answer to see if he would be available for game week 2. That depends on his progress over the next sort of 2 to 3 days to see how he responds to treatment. A lot of questions levied. Well, if you didn't have him, why not just start Cristiano Ronaldo? And, he come back and he said, well, he's only had 10 days training with the team and therefore he wouldn't be ready to complete 90 minutes. However, he did hint or suggest that Ronaldo would be ready for game week 2. Of course, he brought... United were able to penetrate that Brighton backline a lot more efficiently once he came on. So I think Cristiano is in a very good place to start the next upcoming game weeks. And finally, Tyrone Mings, Steven Gerrard spoke about his centre-back and a return to previous levels, performance levels, if he wants to put himself back in the frame for a starting 11 at Aston Villa. Now, Ezri Konsa and Diego Carlos were the preferred central pairing again, but he also referenced the fact that Tyrone Mings has been managing a groin-related issue that hampered him in pre-season, and it's also niggling away at him now still, and he had a scan on Monday. So his availability for this weekend hangs in the balance. But if anybody considering Tyrone Mings to come into that Aston Villa backline, I would certainly look to leave that for a week or 2. So that's it for now. If there's any further injury updates to provide, you can always check out our social media channels at Ben Dinnery or the premierinjuries.com injury table. And we will be back very soon with another injury update video. Thanks a lot.